with Jenny and Mark Steele on Bow Radio.
It's A Wee Natter. I'm Mark Steele, and across the table from me is
Jenny Steele.
And we are joining you on what is a really, really big day of celebration. It is St Gertrude's Day today.
Hey.
Yeah, who is the patron saint of pussy cats. Pussy cats. Get your mind out the gutter, dear.
Pussy cats and cat lovers.
I didn't realise there's cat lovers as well. Yeah. Also, there's a much smaller celebration going on. You might have heard a little bit about it if you kept your ear to the ground. It's St Patrick's Day. Ever heard of that one?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and like any cliche-ridden media outlet, we're not going to avoid it, dear listener. We're going to go and do that Irish thing, and we'll be celebrating by playing Irish artists, like U2, Westlife, The Cars. I'm running out of ideas now. If you've got any ideas, do get in touch. Our number is 01623 888 but while we're celebrating, the Postbag has arrived, and last week we asked what your secret or otherwise addiction was. And if we're going to be talking about addictions and confessions, I thought we've got to set the mood with the music and get you to confess your sins. Not that we're religious or anything like that, but just it feels like if we're confessing our sins, we've got to have that mood about it, haven't we?
Yeah.
Who's been in touch?
Carol O'Malley has been in touch, and her addiction is chocolate, cake and biscuits. So like many others, she's already brought herself an Easter egg. I'm not saying if I have or not.
That means you have. Also in touch, Hank saying, my secret is that I read Donald Duck when I'm travelling business class for my work. So I'm imagining in the front of a plane or front of a train or something like that, in business class, people are sometimes looking, and you know what they are thinking. I don't care, he says. I enjoy that. The stewards on the plane are always asking me about it, and they don't think it is odd. My addiction is buying records. She's got a second one there. She does that odd thing. She's got the confession. He's got addiction as well, which is buying records. And his wife once said, what do you love the most? I told her my records, so she didn't talk to me for 2 days. It was very quiet in the house, and I liked it.
And you liked it too. I hope the missus ain't listening, Hank. That's all I'm saying.
You're setting yourself up here. It was all very quiet. She knew that, so she started buying books. Now the house is also full of books. So I asked her, we are still married though. So it all sounds very good. You've both got your addictions and you've both had your confession.
I wonder if we can do the Donald Duck voice. I can't, so I won't even attempt it. But
I can't. No, I can't even get close to it. It just sounds like.
Yeah, me and Sally Ann Markham Johnson, biscuits again. I don't blame that. It's got to be the good biscuits, hasn't it? Foxes.
So not like what would you call a good biscuit? Is it like your bourbons, your custard creams, things like that? The classic biscuit.
I'd say something a bit more meatier.
What, like a Viscount or something like that?
No. What's the ones that you dip in and they just don't melt? You can dip them in as many times as you want to into your brew, and they don't go nowhere. They're hobnobs. Hobnobs, the marine of biscuits.
I didn't know they were called that.
Yeah.
Sandra was saying my addiction in the winter is crumpets, but I don't eat them in the summer.
I love crumpets.
Only in the winter. Not in the summer. Don't know why. I'm guessing it's because it's a warm thing. And I never got on with crumpets.
Yeah, but there's a difference because we call them pie clips.
Is that what you call them, Reggie?
Well, they're two different things. I had to do a Google. I think pie clips are slightly bigger and thicker.
It's still a crumpet at the end of the day. It tastes of crumpet. And I just don't get on with crumpets. They taste weird, in my opinion.
See, I love them. Sandra Owens. Basically, my addiction is
that's the crumpets.
That's the sorry, Sandra. I'm so loving the crumpets that I wanted to mention it again. Let me go on to Juliana. I haven't got my glasses. That's what I'm saying. Glanfield again. Well, she wouldn't say it was an addiction exactly. She does, however, have lots of beers in her home, and she hesitates to ask, not real ones.
Yeah, there are a few odd people in the world that do have real bears in their house. And they claim they're all friendly and, you just have a bit of a laugh with them and things like that. I'm not sure I could have, a family pet that could rip my head off at a moment's notice. I mean, having a cat is bad enough because it's the mutant killer critter things with claws coming out of it. You're going to get mauled at some point. But yeah, I couldn't take it to bears. It's just too much. Maureen starts saying chocolate. I have absolutely no willpower. If chocolate is in the house, I keep thinking about it and just have to eat it. I bought some chocolates and chocolate eggs as Easter gifts. One egg eaten and replaced. Already? We're still like 2 weeks away from Easter here. And now everything has been kept at a friend's house. I can't be trusted with it. I'm worse than a child. I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for your confession.
I did say that she's welcome to keep the eggs at my house, but she said they wouldn't be around for long, would they? I said no, they wouldn't.
No.
Louise Mallinson, you see, again, well, she's laughing at me because she knows I'm already checking out the Easter eggs, so I can have a bit of chocolate already. She says, and I agree, a little bit of what you fancy does you good. So yeah, it's basically it's chocolate again.
And books, apparently. I can't resist buying a book, but then I cannot give them away. My study and bedroom are full of books. If you're anything like me, you buy more books than you read. And then you've got a problem if you've got shelves full of books that you meant to get round to. You know you're eventually going to read them after you die, because you're never going to actually get round to it. But you in your mind you're saying, I'm definitely going to read this book. And then it sits on a shelf for 20 years.
It
and
does.
You cannot part with it. Sam Killip saying, my addiction is that I would not had any for a while now, but it was Lotus Biscoff spread. I also love Betty Crocker's buttercream. I love how specific it is. It's not just any buttercream, it's Betty Crocker's buttercream.
I love this.
That was just a phase, I think. Any sort of sweet foods I'm addicted to. Marshmallows a big one as well. In short form, I probably, like many, have a sugar addiction. And it's really difficult not to indulge in that, to be honest. And we're glad to have your confession there, Sam. And I think if we're completely honest, we're probably all on that bike as well.
Deanne Aldridge, again, must agree with me. You see, they're all agreeing with me. And
All
it's
right.
chocolate, especially nutty chocolate. And what about coconut hot chocolate drinks and the Kit Kat hot chocolate, presently available in a certain coffee outlet? Definitely, she's really making me drool now.
You want to go get a hot chocolate? Is that what you say?
Yes.
After 4 o'clock on a Sunday in Englandshire, it's not going to happen. And saying Taylor's Scottish breakfast tea specifically. I didn't know you could be that picky about tea and books and my cats as well.
Look at this, Carol Bannerman, Bourneville plain chocolate and a pack of 3. Turkish delight.
A pack of
of
3.
3.
I've got a question for you, but before I ask it, I think we need to get into the mood with this music. You recognise it?
Is it the X-Files?
It is indeed the X-Files music, and I want to talk to you about conspiracy theories.
Ooh.
Yeah. Is that what we're going to get? Ooh. I like conspiracy theories. They're quite fun, aren't they? And I must say, dear listener, if you're seeing this, you're hearing this, you're thinking, oh, not conspiracy theories, and you're running out the door, don't go. No, that's not a reference to Hot House Flowers, but I'm saying don't go, because we're not going to be looking at the serious conspiracy theories.
So we're not looking at is the real Paul McCartney dead?
No,
we're not
because
doing
that's
that
just
one.
completely utter nonsense. I want to touch on this. You know, the small local conspiracy theories that we all hear about. You know the sort of thing I'm on about, don't you?
Go on, tell me.
Yeah, you know, like sightings of pumas and lynxes in the British countryside.
Yeah.
Or actually, on that one, I must admit, it's a bit weird how we've all got HD cameras in our pockets now.
Yeah.
But you don't get very many sightings nowadays, do you? And not very good ones. It's funny how the footage is all still grainy. It's all still a bit rubbish, isn't it? It must be able to detect technology, these cats. You know, when they're running around, the Beast of Bodmin and things like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. Any conspiracy theories that you believe in?
I'm still like to think that there is Nessie. Is there?
The Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
I don't know why I should just hang around in a random loch in the coldest, most miserable part of the country. But I see where you're coming from. And I have heard of sightings of her, but most of them are from like 1928 or something like that. Again, we've got HD footage and all that, and you don't see her in HD.
You don't know. It's just like a blob.
It's just exactly. It's like a blob or something like that, isn't it? Personally, some other rumours that I've heard: Yorkshire tea is not grown in Yorkshire.
No way.
No, really. Although, to be honest, climate change will fix that problem. And wagon wheels have definitely shrunk since I was a kid. I can't prove it, but that's one of the conspiracy theories that I'm on board with. So I'm going to open this one up to you, dear listener. What low-key conspiracy theory do you believe in? It's the sort of song that you catch yourself out with a lighter, swinging from side to side. We did that here, but unfortunately we got interrupted with fire alarm going off and we had to evacuate and come back in. We got into a bit of trouble for that one. Playing that one for Louise Mallinson. It is Celtic Women's version of You Raise Me Up. It's A Wee Natter on Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2, where if you're wondering why the music's a bit weird and different in the streets today, it's because it is St Patrick's Day and we're celebrating that by doing some Irish things, like the cliche you'd expect. We're not going to go, but we do have a couple of topics on the go and a couple of you being in touch. One of them was all about addiction, secret or otherwise, and Pawn Life 21 has been in touch to say chocolate hobnobs.
Oh yes.
Yep, that's a very important one. You've also had somebody in touch as well.
I have. I've had Lady Human in touch regarding Morgan. His favourite addiction is What's-Its.
Oh.
Because I have Wednesday What's-It down at Morgan's pad. I
should explain Morgan is a cat. In case you're sitting there wondering why. Is there this person that goes into a shop that just happens to be called Morgan, and the only thing they buy when they're in Asda is just What's-Its. They've got a bit of an addiction going. Stephen has been in touch saying that his addiction is love.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I assume that's what he's on about.
I've got Robert Palmer in my head now.
Might as well face it, you're addicted to love.
You know that song we've just listened to?
Yeah.
I was just saying to Mark in the break, weren't we, that I want to take up Irish dancing. I've kind of want to give it a go, and I've noticed that our local village hall here in Edwinstowe has decided that they're going to do some classes for Irish dance. It says you can come along whether you're a complete beginner or you've got a little bit of experience in it, and I'm just thinking it must be absolutely fantastic, and then I might be able to give everybody a bit of a view on here once I've had a couple of lessons under my belt. But they do Ceilidh as well.
Oh, you've just given me a flashback to two different places in my life when you mentioned Ceilidh. One of them is that every school child in Scotland, no choice here, every school child in Scotland has to learn Scottish country dancing at some point. It's in the curriculum, you can't avoid it. You will do Scottish country dancing at some point. And you get paired up, boy, girl, but there's always a mismatch in numbers.
Yeah.
Which meant I learnt the girls' part most of the time, just to balance things out. And if you've never come across a Ceilidh before, line dancing with bagpipes is probably the best way I could put it. It's very much you're expected to know the dances, but if you don't, they'll shout out the moves, and it's things like dozy do and things like that.
I think that sounds really fun. They did something at your brother's wedding, didn't they? And yes, everybody was up on that dance floor. But you don't want to come with me, do you? So if anybody out there fancies joining me for a bit of Irish dancing, let me know.
It might. I'll give you a point. It might be more fun than the Dashing White Sergeant, but it just takes you back to that point in your life where you're sitting there going, "Oh my God, I don't have a choice. I've got to do this." And then am I finding out that this is going to be something that I don't have a choice in, and I'm going to do it as well? Oh well, might as well quickly put up with it. Jenny has admitted that she wants to learn some Irish dancing, and Pawn Life has been asking, is Jenny going to give us a demonstration of this? We have the technology to record video and make it happen. What do you say?
Can I use somebody else's legs? Can I doctor it, as they say?
I admit it'd be a little bit unfair to get you do, like a full river dance type experience with zero training. But I think we'll let you go to the lessons in the village.
Yeah.
And we'll get it on video after that. How does that sound? Does that sound fair
cool.
to you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll do that then. Have you got any bags for life?
Yeah, I have.
If you're anything like me, dear listener, you'll have an entire colony of them. Just a cupboard that's completely stuffed to the rafters with bags for life. It used to be carrier bags, but we're supposed to be saving the planet nowadays, aren't we?
Yes, yeah.
Have you ever actually replaced one when it failed?
No, I don't think anybody ever. I've never been in Tesco's or Sainsbury's or anywhere where somebody's actually, well, this is supposed to be my bag for life. I paid 10p for it.
Yeah.
This was 2 years ago. My handle snapped. I want to replace. I've never ever heard anybody ask for a replacement bag for life.
So you've never done the for life bit of a bag for life?
No.
So it's got me wondering, I don't want to start another conspiracy, but where's the cut-off on bag for life when they say life?
Does it have like a warranty? You know, like a 2-year warranty on a washing machine. Does it have a warranty?
Well, I assume if they're talking about life, it's a bit longer than that. You don't expect people are only going to live for 2 years.
Well, I mean,
in general.
they say bag for life, but then they
Yeah.
try and sling a warranty in, don't they, for like 2 years, thinking that after that you're out the door, mate. We don't care.
Are you saying it's like when you go to Curry's, they'll sell you an after-sales care package?
Yeah. I know my consumer house, pal. I know I'm entitled to 6 years.
But you've got to wonder, where's the cut-off? You know, Nan's no longer around, you're clearing the house out.
And whose bag for life was it?
Yeah, can you get those bags replaced? Or will the supermarket check and make they go, it's your Nan's, it's not yours.
That's
Your Nan's
right.
not around anymore. Sorry, you can't replace that bag for life. Although, mind you, if they've got Netto or Safeway written on them, I think it's fairly safe to say that you're not going to get them replaced nowadays, are you? Jenny wants me to remind you of a certain TV show with a theme tune that sounds a bit like this. It's a TV show where it always starts with an accident where you know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, you know the build-up.
From about 30 seconds in.
Yeah.
It's telegraphed at 100 miles an hour. But why do you want to mention Casualty?
Well, I'm in mourning, Mark.
You're
I'm
in
quite
mourning?
upset, yeah, because Charlie's leaving Casualty after 36 years and nearly 900 episodes. He's hanging up his scrubs.
Really?
I can't believe it. I mean, I watched it back in the day when like Duffy was in as well, and Megan, and I'm going back now. But Casualty without Charlie.
I'm struggling to imagine it as well, which is kind of weird, because you would have thought like something that's been going on that long wouldn't be pinned on a single character or anything like that. You would have thought it'd be a whole selection of them and whatnot. Although the one thing I remember about Casualty is I grew up in a household with people with medical knowledge, right? So my mum was nurse until she retired fairly recently. My dad was a nurse for a while, but did a whole bunch of other stuff, including me being an embryologist. So both of them with a medical background. So they would stick Casualty on Saturday night, because I think that's when it was on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Saturday night, family sitting around it. The problem is, if you watch Casualty with somebody that has any sort of medical knowledge, they'll see the accident happen, they'll see the person turn up, they'll see the complications, because it's also supposed to be medically accurate and things like that, and then they'll go, oh yeah, they'll be dead in about 10 minutes. It's like, you've taken all the suspense out of it, you've ruined it, haven't you? When was the last time you actually took a National Express?
I took one for years.
I don't think I've ever actually taken a National Express. I've done long distance coach trips.
Oh, I've done National Express. It used to be like £2 from Nottingham to London.
Oh, right.
I don't know if it is now.
I doubt it's £2 nowadays, but I do remember, if it's anything like the long distance coach trips I took, I think one I took was 10 hours. It was from Fife to Uxbridge, which is a journey and a half. But two things I remember about it. One of them was that the coffee machine that we weren't allowed to use rattled every time we went over a bump in the road. And the other one is you could smell the toilet from the moment you got on the coach to the moment you got off it. And that's before anyone used it. Talking about buses, have you ever had a string of bad luck where things start out okay and then it just goes downhill with every move? Ever had that sort
Yeah,
of?
I get days like that.
Well, it happened to some kids in New Zealand and their bus broke down. I've genuinely been there before where the bus has broken down, and I ended up being the person that was moving all the luggage between buses as we moved between coaches to get back up the country from, I think it was rural Wales or something like that.
Ooh.
It was a long time ago. But anyway, these kids in New Zealand, the coach broke down, the bus broke down, it gets towed, and the kids are put onto another bus. So the kids are away off on their journey and things like that. The original bus that was being towed, what do you think happens next?
I don't know.
So it had already broken down. It's getting towed back to depot.
Yeah.
It catches fire. And they hadn't moved the luggage for the kids over at that point, so the kids' luggage got burnt. The kids are fine, but the luggage is ruined. That's not a good day at the office, is it?
No.
Although, mind you, I've not had a lot of luck with buses myself, right? I do remember going on I think it was the express coach across... Well, even if I tell you what part of the country it is, you work out which bus operator it is. But express coach across a part of this fine country, dear listener. And we ended up in a head-on collision with a car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one thing I learned is those buses are rather robust. The car was very smooshed up, but thankfully the driver was all right and was directing traffic and all that sort of stuff. So we have to hang around. They want us to get checked by ambulance drivers and all that sort of thing. We're like, yeah, it's all good to go, all good to go. And then we're on the journey back to the depot, and the driver who'd had a crash spent the whole journey texting his mates on the way back. So, I don't know whether the advice there is to avoid buses or just to avoid me, dear listener. I don't know which. I'll leave that decision up to you. It's A Wee Natter on Bow Radio and Faction Town Radio too, where it just happens to be St Patrick's Day, and we may be playing a lot of Irish artists because we're very cliched like that, aren't we, dear listener? And something that isn't very cliched, but something that Jenny has noticed, is to do with social media. What's it all about, Jenny?
Well, apparently Facebook is 20 years old. Does that make you feel old?
It does, because I joined Facebook when I was a student in, it must have been around 2006. So I joined it only a couple of years after it started, when it's still only available to students before it opened up to the wider populace.
Yeah.
It was still quite exclusive at that point.
Yeah, but can you remember? Can you remember being poked?
I do, yes. There was poking, and then the Song Pop was a game that was very popular.
Oh, yeah. I used to volunteer in our local hospital, didn't we? And we used to play the Song Pop thing with one of the presenters who's got such a history of musical knowledge. You could not beat him. So you had to, they played a clip, didn't they? And it was first person to hit the correct answer got the point. Oh my God, you could not get your finger faster than him. He knew everything. You could select your categories, couldn't you? So if you was hot in a category, you could select it and you think, yeah, I'm good at this, I know the 80s, I'll win. No, he won everything. Indie, pop, country, rock, he had the lot. He was one of those where one day I'm going to win. I never did.
Oh, well, that's got me wondering. Maybe we need to set up a little music quiz here, dear listener, where you can compete against us. And the only problem is we'll be giving away a prize every week, I think. We're not very glued up on music.
I wish to bring the poke back.
I'm not sure I want poke back. And the other thing that's about 20 years old is my Gmail account, because that was quite exclusive.
Your jeans.
I'd probably do have some 20-year-old jeans now. No, my Google Mail, my Gmail account, because I got it when it was still, I think you had to get invited by somebody. They had to send you a code before it opened up to everyone. Yeah, all very exclusive. And nowadays, even your nan's probably got one as well. It's just the way the world goes, isn't it? In case you're not noticed, it's an election year this year. Have you noticed that?
I've noticed.
Yeah, well, we've all noticed that, haven't we? Mr Sunak, a bit of an update, has chickened out of the 2nd of May. So we're going to keep going.
Has he?
We have to keep going, because he's not announced a date yet. He's not going to run up and give his job up quite yet. But you will hear all sorts of promises in the build-up to the election, but nobody will be dealing with the unimportant issues. You have a lot of people talking about very important, serious issues you have to make really important decisions about. Nobody will be talking about the unimportant stuff. We want to change that. We want to bring the power to the people as part of something we call, which admittedly is just an excuse to play Alice Cooper every week. And this week is going to be rubbish. Not that this show is going to be rubbish or this slot is going to be rubbish, but we're talking about actual rubbish. Is it me, or is it just rubbish everywhere nowadays?
There is rubbish everywhere.
You know, there's the fast food wrapper in a hedge, dog droppings in the playground, old TV in a tree. Everywhere you go, there's just rubbish everywhere, isn't there, right?
Yeah.
Right? You know the stuff, it's disgusting, it's messy. And while we have amazing people that are litter pickers that volunteer to go around and pick up all this rubbish and deal with it, we need to fix this. We need to resolve this problem. We need to actually get a proper solution in. And I've got a couple of policies for this one. That one is part of the People's Manifesto for unimportant things. One of them is the brand that is responsible for the item has to clean it up. So whether it's like fast food that has the name of the fast food restaurant on it, or the television that has the brand of the company that made the television. Admittedly, some of them you've never heard of before. But, you know, whoever's name is on it, they have to sort it. That's the phase 1 plan. You on board with that one?
Sort of. What if it was like made in China or something?
Well, they'll have to come over and pick it up. It's as simple as that. But that's phase 1. And then when they come to me complaining, you know, because we get elected as part of the People's Manifesto, when they come to complain and bung us staff's amounts of money, we change to printing people's names and addresses on everything. Just a mild bit of corruption.
Yeah.
But it does solve the problem, because, you know, if you had a fast food wrapper that had your face on it, you wouldn't throw it away in a bush, would you?
No.
You'd put it in a proper bin. You would deal with it properly. And you'd really struggle, if a policeman came up to you with a crisp packet with your face on it to say that's not mine.
Yeah.
Unless you're like an identical twin or something like that. There are a few flaws that we do need to figure out, but that is our phase 2 solution to it as well. Gilbert O'Sullivan telling you to get down off that sofa as if you were a cat or something. And he's not. Get down. Gilbert O'Sullivan. It's A Wee Natter on Bow Radio. We'll play that for Henk, who's saying, my wife says that I am a dancing horse, so I can't dance or do an Irish dance either. Have a nice evening. I don't think I've been compared to a horse. I've been compared to an elephant when it comes to dancing.
Have you?
Yeah, I 2 left feet would be an understatement for how I dance. Although my dancing is very well known. Because I put a lot of movement into it, even if it's not very well coordinated. Yeah. It's memorable. So if you want to go on a night out, I'm sure I could demonstrate to you, dear listener. And talking about demonstration, we have got the quiz that I wrote, what is it, going back a decade ago now? With some slightly out-of-date questions on it. But I've got a question for you today. We'll see if you can figure out what the answer is and see if you're smarter than I was when I came up with a quiz. It's a bit of a challenge. We'll see what happens. So this week's question, which African mammal is statistically the most deadly to humans? Ooh. There's an upbeat question for you, isn't it? Which animal's going to kill you the most? So yeah, which African mammal is statistically the most deadly to humans? It's possibly not the one you're thinking of. So we Natter on Bow Radio, where we are celebrating St Patrick's Day with a question about African mammals. Yeah, I don't get it either, but it's one of these things we're doing. And the question we're asking, which African mammal is statistically the most deadly to humans? A few of you been in touch, including Maureen Stott with the correct answer. Well done. Who else has been in touch?
Cheryl Warner with the correct answer.
We've also had Vicky Fairweather saying elephants. Sandra Onan saying rhino. We got there in the end. Sorry about the delay there. And Hank with the correct answer as well.
Stephen Hall.
Yeah, what's he saying?
Stephen Hall said elephant or lion.
Unfortunately, our sound effects board...
It's a bit slow, isn't it?
It comes round once a week. You get a shot and you got to wait for the tape to come all the way round. It's very old-fashioned. It's A Wee Natter from Bow Radio and Faction Town Radio 2, where we're asking which African mammal is statistically the most deadly to humans, and we've had another guess in as well.
Ellie Merritt gave us the correct answer,
which is the hippopotamus. Hank has provided us a lot of information on this one.
Yes.
It is the world's deadliest large land mammal, killing an estimated 500 people per year in Africa. I don't know why I'm putting on a voice as if I'm going to be working for, what is it, Discovery Channel or something like that. I don't think that'll ever happen. Hippos are aggressive creatures and they have very sharp teeth. And you would not want to get stuck under one at 2,750 kilograms. They're slightly lighter than I am, and they can crush a human to death. That's nice to know, isn't it?
No.
If I say the name Titanic, what comes to mind?
The film.
Not Celine Dion, then.
Yeah.
So you're not very... Because you've been to the Titanic Experience, the museum that they have down in Southampton.
Yeah.
It is very interesting. You learn a lot of things going, oh, that wasn't in the film. Oh, that was... But that film was weird. Why did so many of us go to see a film where we already knew the ending of it? Why did we do it? And it wasn't exactly like a Sixth Sense style plot twist at the end of it either. It was exactly as we expected it to the end. But we all went to see it. It's strange. But it turns out there's this Australian chap, right? He wants to launch... not the Titanic, because it's way too far down in the bottom of the ocean. He wants to launch Titanic 2, which needs a strapline, doesn't it? You know, sink even faster. I think that's what I'd go with. But no, it's his third attempt. He tried in 2012, he tried in 2018, and he's relaunching again in 2024. He really wants to make Titanic 2 happen. Although surely there's never been a clearer sign not to recreate the Titanic, has there?
I don't think I'd be going on that.
If you're on your third attempt and you haven't even made a ship yet, Surely that's a sign that maybe you want to reconsider your plans a little bit. Although even better, I've been reading about it, if you're mad enough to climb on board the Titanic 2, which like any sequel is going to be even bigger, even stranger and even crazier, if you get on Titanic 2, they encourage you to dress like it's the 1900s.
Oh.
So most of us will be dressed like peasants then. Because none of us are from, a rich breeding stock or anything like that. But there is one upside to all of this Titanic 2 project. If it keeps going at the current trajectory for actually building the ship and getting it done, by the time the ship is built, there'll be no icebergs for it to crash into. So the Titanic 2 sequel will have to go down a different way. Jenny wants to talk about names.
I do, yeah. So I was kind of looking at some names in the online the other day, and I was just like thinking about names that have got some relevance. Like, for example, I used to know a chef whose first name was Ian and his surname was Cook. So his initial is I Cook.
I cook.
I cook.
You have to be a little bit careful with names. When you've got a child and you're naming them.
Yes.
Imagine your name's Price. You can't call your child Richard Ian Price, which sounds normal.
Yeah.
Until they put down his initials as R.I.P.
Yeah, but what about Jasper Carrot?
What do he do?
I heard he called his son Ivor.
But
Ivor Carrot. No, but I used to sometimes call into a local radio station and make a name up, and it took a couple of calls before the penny actually dropped with the presenters. Occasionally I called myself Teresa Green.
Teresa Green?
Teresa Green. Oh. Venetia Blind.
You're one of those wind-up merchants, aren't you?
Yeah. And I loved it. And it took them... The funny part was it took them forever to actually... right, I see where you're going with it. Do you know what I mean? And what about... Was it Kim Kardashian? Did they not call their child North and the surname was West?
Now, you see, when it comes to celebrity ones with daft names... This is getting back to the conspiracy thing again, isn't it? But when you see celebrities with daft names, you've got to imagine that's not their actual name. Like, with Elon Musk and his kid that's called X12AE, whatever, right? I can't imagine that's their actual name that they go about with day to day, or it's even their legal name or anything like that. I imagine they've got a very normal name that they use for most of the time. And the same with Northwest. There's no way you could go round in life calling yourself Northwest.
What would they change it to South or something?
You would get relentlessly bullied. It doesn't matter how rich your parents are, you get relentlessly bullied. I imagine with these things, there are names to keep the public happy and think, there's celebrities, they've got daft names, but in reality they have very sensible, normal names as well.
I'm disappointed now.
Although I say that, I'm called Mark Steele, which is our actual genuine name, and I'll tell you, it really didn't help when I was at school. Still got relentlessly bullied. I'm sure you can come up with a few ideas yourself, dear listener. We were hoping to calm Jenny down because she was still outraged that she couldn't get her McDonald's early in the week because the computer systems were broken. Did that help calm you down and make you feel better?
No, because it was absolute carnage. I wanted to try the new McFlurry Cadbury's cream egg.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Looks gorgeous.
Sounds very sickly to me. And on that note, that's about it from A Wee Natter.